Every single year, seemingly, John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan are able to cook during the later rounds and undrafted free agency period way more than other teams. Last year, for instance, they were able to pick up Evan Anderson as an undrafted free agent, and despite many people just frankly writing him off as an undrafted free agent, he was able to start in one game, played in 12, registered 22 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 2 quarterback hits, a sack, and a forced fumble. A big reason he was able to come in and have immediate success was his ability to routinely take on double teams, as well as his unique blend of power and athleticism. So with hopes of repeating the same type of formula that worked for them last year, Chris Kasarik decided to pick up the defensive tackle Sebastian Valdez out of Washington. And this guy is an athletic freak as well as having raw power. At his pro day, for instance, he put up a bench press 34 times, which would have been the most of any prospect in this entire draft class. But as I was alluding to, it's not like he just has power. His 40-yard dash, for instance, of 5.02 seconds ranks in the top 10 of all defensive tackles in this class. His 10-yard split of 1.72 seconds is in the top 5, and his shuttle is the second best with a time of 4.46 seconds. So in this video, I want to dive a little bit more deeply into the 6'3", 301-pound defensive tackle Sebastian Valdez, who received a relative athleticism score of 9.27 out of 10. To do this, in this video, we'll look at his strengths, weaknesses, as well as his career up to this point to really see what San Francisco will get out of him as a rookie. Initially starting out, while Sebastian Valdez isn't the biggest defensive tackle coming in at 6'3", weighing 305 pounds, one of his biggest strengths on the field is his mind-boggling power. One of the most impressive things in this aspect of his game, in my opinion, is how routinely he was able to take on double teams, holding his ground, not being driven back at all. And when he was just faced with one offensive lineman, routinely you would see him stack him up on the offensive line, read where the back is going, shed his block, and then bring him down for a loss. Tied directly to his strength, in my opinion, is his hand size. They come in at 10.38 inches, which is bigger than Aaron Donald's hands, meaning he's able to grab a hold of an offensive lineman, and in part due to his grip strength, isn't going to just be easily thrown off. But it's not just in the running game where you'll see his strength take over. In the passing game, for instance, he routinely is able to collapse the pocket with a bull rush move and often gets to the quarterback. Across the course of his collegiate career, for instance, he's been able to register 14 sacks, including 2 last season at Washington. I also love how consistent of a contributor he's been at the NCAA level. He made an immediate impact as a freshman, and then after that, started in 3 straight years. Not only does this help refine a player's football IQ, just seeing all different types of blocking schemes and how to attack them, but I also love how it shows off his durability. He was able to start 3 years in a row and didn't miss any time. And God knows, San Francisco definitely needs that on their defensive line and really team as a whole. Another reason I think he'll be a perfect fit for San Francisco's wide 9 defensive front that really prioritizes a defensive lineman's ability to get off the ball is his short area quickness. During his time at Washington, they used more of a read and react front, meaning he wasn't necessarily responsible for shooting off the ball and getting into the backfield. But when he had to close, you would see these short bursts, and he was able to get the back or quarterback down. And during his time at Montana State, you would see him routinely blow by offensive linemen with his first step. Granted, that was against lesser tier opponents. Which brings us to his weaknesses. Wally did start all last season for the Washington Huskies at the Big Ten level and was extremely productive at that. Prior to that, he started 3 years at the FCS level for Montana State, so there is a fair question to see how he'll be able to continue to hold up against high tier opponents. Directly tied to this is the coaching he received at Montana State. I'm not trying to talk bad about Montana State, but it's just not the same level as a place like Washington, for instance, and you can tell in his pass rush moves. Sometimes he'll just be too reliant on his power and bull rush moves to drive offensive linemen into the quarterback's lap. And while I can't say this wasn't effective at the NCAA level, because honestly it was, you would just routinely see him collapse the pocket, I think headed into the NFL level, he'll need to add some skills to his pass rush moves, maybe add a couple of tools like maybe a spin move, a swim move, or even a hump move. And after doing this, it'll help him refine his pass rush plan so he's not so one-dimensional. He'll be able to transition from speed to power, for instance, or vice versa. Another big reason Valdez went undrafted was his shorter than average arm length of 31.25 inches. This may hinder his NFL ability to bat down passes as well as disengage with blocks. Still though, heading into his rookie campaign, I could definitely see Sebastian Valdez fighting it out for a roster spot, and if he isn't able to beat out a player like Kalia Davis, San Francisco and Chris Kaserik will do everything in their power to stash him away on the practice squad, and throughout the year I would expect him just to continue to refine his craft, and maybe towards the end of the season if some players go on IR, he could be elevated. But to fully understand the player that is Sebastian Valdez, I did want to look at his career up to this point because it tells a story of a player overlooked that ends up being one of the best players on the team every single time. We were first introduced to Sebastian Valdez at Monte Vista High School in Spring Valley, California. There he played both defensive end and tight end, but according to 24/7 Sports, after his senior season, he was ranked as a 0-star recruit and had a single offer from Montana State in which he accepted. But during his freshman year in 2021, he was impressive. He logged 38 tackles, 14 solo tackles, 5.5 tackles for loss, and 3.5 quarterback sacks. The following year, he started in all 14 games, earning first-team All-Big Sky Conference honors, as well as sophomore All-American honors. He led his team with 10 tackles for loss, 7 sacks, and recorded 44 tackles. As a junior for the Bobcats in 2023, he continued his high level of production, starting in 12 games, registering 27 tackles, 8.5 tackles for loss, 5 quarterback sacks, and 2 quarterback hurries. For his senior season, Valdez knew that he needed more exposure if he hoped to make it onto an NFL roster, so he entered the NCAA transfer portal and was re-ranked as a 4-star recruit according to 24/7 Sports, and he had numerous offers but ultimately decided to commit with the Washington Huskies. Despite facing stiffer competition at the Big Ten level though, he was able to start in all 13 games, registered 49 tackles, 4.5 tackles for loss, and 2 sacks. And honestly, he was dominant this season, especially in his run defense. I really love the story about Sebastian Valdez because it shows someone willing to work and bet on themselves every step of the way. So while many teams wrote him off because maybe he had too short of arms, or maybe he didn't face big enough competition throughout his 4 years, I'm betting on the player who's consistently shown the ability to continue to improve his craft, and he's one of the most athletic and strongest defensive tackles in this entire class. So with him headed into San Francisco, while he may not initially make the 53-man roster, I think honestly it's probably only a matter of time. He's a perfect fit for Chris Kaserik's wide 9 system that really prioritizes a defensive lineman's ability to get off the ball, and he has all the athleticism you could wish for. Maybe my favorite part though is his career tells a story of someone consistently overlooked at every single level, and because of his work ethic, he's able to outperform those expectations and really ends up being one of the most dominant defensive linemen on that team. But ultimately, these are just my thoughts on San Francisco signing Sebastian Valdez out of Washington, and I would like to hear your thoughts down below. Do you think he'll make the 53-man roster, or do you think he's more of a developmental piece? It would also mean a ton to me if you could like and subscribe, and as always, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.